Assalamu alaikum. Tsinga jest, Jordias, Shadaglast. Tsinga Shaista Razda. Churiki Aurea? Hi, how are you? And welcome. Such a beautiful day. You hear the birds chirping? I'm Miriam, and this is Afghan Cooks. Do I need to tell you why it's called that? I'm an Afghan, and I cook. Today we're hanging out in my backyard, and we're gonna make bread. Now we're gonna make not the traditional Afghan naan that you're probably accustomed to seeing, the very large, long loaves. We're gonna make a very thin, circular bread that's flat, but it's made with yeast, and we're gonna have it with some chicken kebab. It's just really nice to have that thin bread that soaks up the juices, and you can kind of roll it into a wrap. So let's get started. Of course, we need flour, yeast, salt, water. Those are the basics for all of your doughs. In this one, we're gonna add some oil too to make it super soft and pliable, kind of like we did in the bolani recipe, but we didn't use yeast in that recipe. And if you haven't seen it, you should, because bolani was voted the #1 bread in the world by CNN in 2019. So go Afghans. Okay, so here I have 2.5 cups of flour. It's the birds, they're distracting me. And then I have 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. I'm gonna sprinkle that over there. Oh, and you know what I'm gonna add to this bread? Za'atar. Za'atar is I think it's Egyptian, Moroccan, North African spice. And it's made with oregano, and I think it's got sesame seeds in it. We add some salt. I was taught that salt kills yeast, so I always try to kind of move the salt over to the other side, but I see a lot of really great chefs and home cooks adding it directly on top. Maybe it's because it's such a quick mix. And about 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm using extra virgin olive oil here, but use whatever you got on hand. And then what I do is before I add my water, is I stir this up. Because while there's normally a ratio of water and how much you need to use, you never really know, because so much is dependent on your atmosphere. If it's humid, if it's dry, if it's hot. Once you have the oil mixed in, then you can start adding your water. Make sure your water is a little bit warm and add it slowly, okay? Slow is key. So once it's gathered up, and again, don't be afraid to add a little bit at a time. I had 1.3 cups of water in here, and right now I have about 1/2 cup left. So it's about 3/4 cup of water for the 2.5 cups of flour. And what I did at the very end, when it still felt a little tough to me, was I just stuck my fingers in the water, and it's practice. It's just practice, and this isn't a bread that you can really go wrong with. You have to just trust me on that, okay? My fondest memories are of my mom making bread, because when we came to America, I mean, there was no place where you could buy Afghan bread. There were no Afghans around. Refugees had been coming, but not to the extent that they had later on. So the women would just make it. When I went to Pakistan, one of my favorite things there to eat was they make this bread, and they make it super thin, and then they layer it. They do, a layer of bread, and then they do a layer of sugar and butter, and then another layer of bread, and then another layer of sugar and butter. And so it's pretty spectacular. I think in another video I talked about that the word for bread isn't, it's naan. That's the word that everyone knows it by. But we call bread dudi, and the word for food is also dudi. One of the things that they do in Afghanistan when you get married is the day after your wedding night, the next morning, the bride goes to the groom's house, because that's where she lives. And here's the thing, you can do this in your KitchenaId stand mixer and use the dough hook, add all this together, stir it around really fast. for about 4 or 5 minutes and be done with it. I actually really like kneading dough. I own 2 Kitchenaid stand mixers and also a really fantastic food processor, and yet I will almost always knead dough by hand. The other night we had our bubble, my niece's birthday party, and we had pizza, and I made pizza dough, and it was 10 cups of flour, and I did it by hand. Actually, I think I made my kids knead that one, but Justin's saying that he did it. But I don't usually, I like it because I can tell if it's going well, if the dough is doing what it's supposed to be doing when I touch it. I can't really tell. Like my dough right now is not really freaking cooperating. It's super dry still. Look at that. I wonder if it needs more oil. I really am having a hard time understanding what's happening here. If you knead this by hand, you are gonna have to do it for 5 minutes, roughly, 4 or 5 minutes, and set a timer, because what we think is 5 minutes when you're kneading dough, it's very different from like 5 minutes if you have 5 minutes to get ready to go somewhere. It goes by very quickly. It's like 5 minutes, which is a very long time. We have our dough. We kneaded it for 5 minutes. I did have to stick my fingers inside the water a couple times just to add a little bit more moisture to it. Again, I know people are very afraid of baking. They're very afraid of bread. You don't have to be, okay? You really are gonna be okay. Bread is flour, water, salt, yeast. That's it. And people have been doing it forever. So worst that can happen. Tastes like a cracker? That's okay. Crackers are delicious. Put this back in the bowl. Cover it with some plastic wrap. I'm going to throw a little more oil on the top so it doesn't stick. And put it in a warm place for an hour. And then we'll come back. Our dough has risen. It's been in there for about an hour and a half because we were waiting for the pizza oven to heat up. So we've got this pizza oven outside, and I've never used it for bread before, but I've had a lot of success with pizza, so hopefully, since it's similar, it'll work. So I'm gonna take the plastic off, and we're gonna divide this, punch it down a little bit, and then we're gonna divide it into 4 pieces. We're going to work on these one at a time. Take one of these, cover this back up so it doesn't dry out. Put some flour on your board. So I have 2 rolling pins. I have this that I got at Patel Brothers in Queens. It's like their greatest Indian grocery store ever. I can't wait till COVID is over so I can go back there. And then of course I have my French rolling pin, and I never know which one will work better. So, and you want to roll these out thin. Now the first one's always going to give you some trouble because it hasn't had a chance to rest after you've punched it down, but that's okay. Just work through it. Now through the magic of YouTube, what you're going to see in a minute is this being super thin, and it's going to feel like it happened really quick, and it's going to take you a while, and you're going to be like, why? I must have done something wrong. No. We're just not showing you how long it takes because you would be really bored. So that piece of dough got you this much bread. And it's a nice feeling dough. It feels fairly sturdy, except if you stretch it with your fingertips like I did. Now I'm going to throw some olive oil on the top and put some za'atar on it. I'm going to flour my pizza peel and hope for the best. I'll see you over by the fire. You know how when we were making the bread, I said, you know, don't be afraid of it. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. What's the worst that can happen? It will turn into crackers. Well, my friends, my experiment using my pizza oven made it turn into crackers. So the problem I had was that the oven, oddly enough, never got hot enough. Normally I can get it up to 700 or 800 degrees. I don't know if we didn't have enough coals in there, but it never got more than 375. So it's a very thin bread cooking very slowly. And so it turned into crackers. This one is a little more pliable, but not by much. I spritzed some water in there. But like I said, the recipe is still good. Make it in your oven. Set your oven to about 500 degrees. It should take about 3 to 4 minutes to cook. If you make them nice and thin, spritz your oven with water if you have a spritzer available, but you should not get crackers. If you get crackers, let me know, and we'll tweak the recipe a little bit, but I haven't ever had this problem before. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. We'd love it if you subscribed, because that would let us know that you enjoy our content. And if you want to know when we have a new video out, hit the notification bell. Until next time, Khudai Paman, Khudafiz, Salam Alaikum. Bye.